Welcome back to the Wildlanders Off-Grid, and in tonight's episode we've got a lot of updates coming up for you. Firstly, can we get a 50,000 litre water bladder into quite a tight space, and can we get the terrace levelled to accommodate said water bladder? Find out a bit later. Also, we go back to the market garden, which has been overrun by giant clover, and we get that bed stripped down, remade, and we get shade material up, and we get a lot of chili peppers planted. We also get Frank to create 3 new terraces, or rather refined and re-level 3 old terraces, ready for our new nursery here on the Wildlands, so that's equally exciting as well. We also chainsaw our old cabin up by way of punishment for it being such an unsafe structure, and we show you how we're going to repurpose it and turn it into a toilet and bathroom and shower area. So enjoy tonight's episode. Welcome back to the Wildlands, and today we're in our new market garden, which is very exciting, and we're getting ready to sow. But you'll remember last year we sowed a cover crop, which was this clover, and you can see it's gone berserk and it's taken over the borders, but that's great because it's a nitrogen fixer, and we're going to chop and drop it. So if you're new to chop and drop, we'll show you how to do that. We're going to lay cardboard and new compost, no dig style, and then we're going to start planting out our beds. And also, in an action-packed gardening episode, we've got to lay our new irrigation.
Last autumn when we sowed the clover, we thought it was going to be killed off by the frost, and that was the plan, and it would have worked in England, and it hasn't worked here because the winter was just so very mild. We did have a few frosts, but not enough to kill it off, so it's now ridiculously high. I've actually planted out some beetroot before it got this high, and you can't even see them anymore because the clover is just enormous. So we're going to cut. We could pull out the clover plants, but then you're ripping up the soil structure and you're pulling all the roots out, which we don't want. So we're literally just going to cut, that's your plant, down at ground level, leaving the roots in the soil, which will hopefully, because they're covered with cardboard and compost afterwards, the roots will then rot and return their nitrogen that they fixed into the soil, and this stuff will rot underneath the cardboard, and it's all just going to give it an added oomph of goodness.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's like a fair old job, chopping and dropping, and then we're going to put cardboard on top again.
That's right, yeah. I think if we just chopped and dropped and tried to plant through that, then the roots would just send up more sprouts, and then you'd have the same problem again in a month or two.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the cardboard no dig method with compost on top of that, and then we'll plant through, and it might be a little bit hard. You might have to part the roots as you're planting, but I think it'll be fine.
So although it's a bit of extra work, this terrace that we've started building our market garden in has probably not been farmed or had anything exciting grown in it for probably 20-30 years. So by adding an extra layer of cardboard and compost, although that's an extra bit of work and some extra cost, I think it's probably good for the beds, isn't it?
Yeah, we're adding a lot of,
Organics.
Well, it's just organic matter, which is just improving the soil. So yeah, I think we can get it done in a day. And then we're ready to plant. We've got plants waiting to go out. There's no more frosts.
Nope. We've got irrigation waiting to go in.
Yes. Yeah, we're done with the rain now. It's the beginning of May. It's the 6th of May, and there's not going to be any more rain till September.
No,
so
crazy that, isn't it?
Definitely need to get the irrigation in. Okay, let's go.
Let's chop and drop. Very, very hot here on the Wildlands. We've got another chore that we've left very late in the day to achieve. So if you remember our old cabin base, which was too large and also unsafe from our last video, we're now going to saw that down. I'm going to keep a third of it, which we're going to repair and make safe. And we've got to bring down all the pallets and floorboards ready to build our budget bathroom and toilet build, which is going to be made predominantly out of pallets. So there we go, So a lot of moving of pallets, and the reason we had to do that today was that tomorrow we have Frank the digger coming in, and he's going to be levelling this area behind the camera and also levelling the area where all the pallets were up on the top there. Frank has got to clear this top section here of the gravel area next to the reservoir, and the reason that's got to be cleared is we're putting in our 50,000 litre water bladder. So he's got to take the gravel off, level it out again, put the gravel back on, and then we'll get a delivery of sand which will go on top of the gravel. We'll rake that on the gravel, and then we'll be able to set up the bladder and possibly start filling it up before it gets too hot while the well is full of lots of lovely water. So that's another chore done, taken us nearly all day, and we started at 8 in the morning. I'm very knackered now, so I think it's time for a beer. The next chore is 3 metre or 10 foot telegraph poles, which are very useful for building using stilts when we're building our cabins. So there we go, that's the finished result. All the pallets stacked up, rather unattractive, but off the drive, ready for Frank. And then this section here, the remaining third of the cabin base that was where the pallets are, this is going to be our toilet and shower. And if you have a look, you can see we're going to make it 1 pallet wide, which is 1 metre 20, and then a pallet either end. So it's almost the right kind of width, so that's pretty cool. So that means that we just have to lop a bit of this off with a skill saw, and then we've got to repair and make this safe. So what we're going to do here is, where this has been rather badly joined, we're going to put stilts underneath, reinforce it, put loads more joists down, make it safe. And then we've got these floorboards here, which are left over, and they'll finish off this run here. Morning. So it's digger day today, and we've got Frank the digger in, and he's coming to clear the area behind me, which we finished clearing of all our pallets, wood and telegraph poles and various other supplies yesterday. So let's have a quick look at that area now. This is the area cleared, and we originally cleared it to be a park up, or several park ups for van lifers. But the reality was that you got stuck coming here and coming back up this hill. So it's quite a big area, and it's reasonably flat already, but there is a slight hill, particularly as you come down from the back. I'll just spin you around and show you that. So you can see this bit here is slightly hilly, and then obviously more hilly here. So what Frank's got to do is he's got to cut out here, somewhere along here, and then bring that forward and put it here. Clear this shrubbery which is all grown up, because that was originally made by Frank the digger 3 years ago, and this area is going to be where our 50,000 litre water bladder is going. And a water bladder is a bit like a massive giant hot water bottle, so it's basically a thick rubber bag with an inlet and an outlet, and it fills up with water, or you fill it up with water. So in our case we will have to pump water up from the well to fill it up. We won't keep it filled all year, we'd probably pump it up in the rainy season, so for us that would be sort of March, April, and then we'd keep it full along with the reservoir in front of me. And then we've got water security. So the other job is this area here, this weedy area here, that is at the end of where the water bladder will be. That's all got to be also cleared, whether we do it by hand or if we have time, Frank might do it. So that's down here. It's actually mainly grasses and a few bushes, so it looks worse than it is, and it's reasonably flat. That's going to be cleared to make way for plants. Path here, we've still got this to tidy up, which has been waiting a year to be tidied up. Hello Bob, morning. And then this will be the new bathroom and shower. Pallets were moved yesterday, and Rosie's cabin there. see behind me, Frank has finished the levelling and he's spread Britta out, which is like a large gravel. So you can see the Britta outline along here, and that is where the water bladder, the water pillow is going to be. And then later tonight we've got 3 cubic metres of sand coming, which we're going to rake out over the top of the Britta, and then we're going to try and unravel a really heavy water bladder on top of the sand without dislodging it too much and trying to keep it as flat as possible, and then the job is done. So at the moment Frank is also on the next terrace down, levelling that out for more plant space for the Wildlands nursery, as we're running out of space in the nursery area by the cold frame and the polytunnel. So Frank has also made us a new path, got a bit of weeding to do, and we're going to plant up either side and tidy up the reservoir on the left and get all the lining in the ground, which is a job left over from last year. So here's what Frank is now clearing. So he's making 2 little terraces, and we're going to put plants here under shade material, and then that is right by the new toilet and bathroom build that you saw yesterday, and then Rosie's cabin over there in the background, and going to look lovely. Wider path, again it's going to look lovely when it's landscaped, and we'll get some nice plants in, irrigation set up, get the reservoir properly landscaped, and then you'll remember Digger Dave, he came last year and dug us a second reservoir here, which also needs lining and filling in. See, it's a little bit long here and a little bit short here. And there we are, bladder is lain, and just got to work out how to fill it up now, but a result. Path down the side which goes over to Rosie's cabin. So with the new no dig bed now finished, it's time to get some shade on, and we're going to use fence posts, bang them in the ground and then cover them in shade material, and then we're going to plant predominantly peppers and chilies, so very exciting. So let's get this shade material up then. So there we go, the shade material is up, works very well. And now it's time to get planting peppers. So we've got a lot of varieties of bell peppers here, but predominantly also a lot of chili peppers and some padron peppers. The latter are one of our favourites, fried with salt, Spanish tapas style. You'll also see that the irrigation is in and finished for this first bed. So very simply, we have a 12-volt pump coming out of our reservoir, which is powered by an ALLPOWERS box, running off also ALLPOWERS solar panels. That means that we can essentially water our garden for free, pumping the water from the well at the bottom of the land to the reservoir, and in future times to the bladder as well. And from there, the 12-volt pump brings it down to here, where there is a 4-way tap system, and at the moment we're just using the one tap to do the whole of the bed behind me and its little bed on the end there. So the irrigation, as you can see, is all working, and we leave it running for about half a day, maybe longer when the drought hits, assuming that we get the same sort of hot summer that we had last year. So all in all, a great job done by me. So next we're going to have a look at the terraces that Frank levelled, which are that way behind the camera, and the other side of the reservoir, which is also behind the camera. So let's go and have a look and see how the terraces are. So this is 3 new terraces, which we're going to shade in much the same fashion as this, but on a much bigger scale. So there, the very top of the 3 terraces is going to be completely shaded with 3-metre timber, so 1/2 metre in the ground, 2.5 above, so that we can walk under it. And then the whole of that top terrace will be shaded, and that will be to accommodate our fast growing number of pots for our nursery here on the wildlands, which is very exciting. I've not told you about the fact that we've started the nursery, but we have, so more on that in another episode. Let's diversify. I'll just take walking cam into the chickens area. Alright mate, how's it going? I want to show everybody what you've been up to. So let me go under this shade material, open up this part. Look, Dolly's had babies. 4 little bubbers. Aren't they just beautiful? What a good girl, Dolly, and you're still sitting on 2 more eggs. I'll leave you in peace. My gosh, another 4 babies on the wildlands. That brings our chicken count up to 20. However, Sandy, who turned out to be a rooster, has been renamed Terrence, and he's been rehomed. So he's living a wonderful life with 14 young ladies to look after. And then we had 6 chicks that are now several months old, I think over 3, and they are being rehomed, or 4 of them are being rehomed on Wednesday, and we're keeping Trixie and 1 other, so that's very exciting. And now silkies, 4 silkies hopefully. I'm not entirely sure that they're silkies. I did have a look, and silkies are supposed to have an extra toe. However, Dolly is a pure silkie and she does not have an extra toe, so can't tell 100%, but these 4 chicks are exceptionally small. They came out of very tiny eggs. Thanks Flapchat, he agrees. They were very tiny eggs, so there must be, fingers crossed, Dollies, or they could be all Glorias, but they are 3 black ones, and Dolly's dad I think was black, so make sure you subscribe to find out Flapjack agrees. Get subscribing to the channel so you know if my babies are boys or girls. Thank you. So that's our new path. And Bladder's here. Not filled up yet, but I have sent an email to the supplier for the parts for here. So we can run it to the reservoir. I wanted to show you Terrace 1 and 2 and 3. So good job, Frank. So I'm back at the reservoir, and I wanted to show you how our irrigation works from the reservoir, which is in front of me. You can see I'm currently filling up the reservoir, which is why I'm out of breath, because I've been down the bottom of the land, which is 1,000 feet away, and it's uphill all the way up. So basically, if you've not seen previous videos, we have a well at the bottom of the land. That's our well in there. Let's go and have a look. See the inlet pipe there, and you can see there's still a lot of water that we can take out. We have a Honda pump there, and we pump water up this pipe to fill up the reservoir, and then we tend to keep the reservoir full, so as soon as we take anything out we tend to fill it back up so that we're always on top of our water management. So from the reservoir we've recently gone over to 12 volt, so we use less petrol, and obviously it's free. Petrol very expensive at the moment, so our 12 volt pump is a submersible pump, and we just drop that into the reservoir and we power it using our ALLPOWERS system. So we've got ALLPOWERS 600 watt solar panel, which I'm just going to set up. And then the ALLPOWERS box has been in storage because it's been raining, so I'm just going to go get that out, and then we'll set that up, and then we'll plug in the pump, and then we can start watering all of our pots in the new Wildlands nursery, which I'll also show you briefly before the end of the video. As you can see, the solar panels are beasts at 600 watts, quite a large size. We tend to leave them pretty much flat because now that we're coming up towards the summer, although it's not a sunny day today, when it is a sunny day, the sun tends to be almost overhead. So for most of the day you can leave them flat on the ground unattended and get maximum wattage into your box to charge it up. So we can generate a lot more power from the solar than is required to run the pump. So then that means we've got free power to use the battery bank for other purposes, usually for Rosie to run her extreme gaming laptop, which does need a lot of power, so the ALLPOWERS box is brilliant for that. So let me show you the irrigation. Oh, so I'm even more out of breath now. So I've brought up the ALLPOWERS box, and I'm just going to plug it in. It's very straightforward. So the solar panels just plug into the inputs on the side, and then also on this side, as well as the Anderson input, it's also got a kettle lead input on the side, which is so that you can charge it off the mains if you're on mains electricity, unlike ourselves, and or you can plug it into your Jenny, which in the winter we may do, although this box is going to be always used for our irrigation because it lasts such a long time, so we can leave our irrigation on all day, and it's also got enough power that we can run 2 pumps if we wish to as well, so that's a win-win as well. So let's get the irrigation on. So that's plugged in. We're not going to get very much solar at the moment because the sun is not out, but it will be out later, so that's good. So all we need to do now is get our 12 volt pump and just pop it in the edge of the water like so. And then we just need to plug her in. So I've got a standard 12 volt cigarette lighter end that I've put on the end of my 12 volt pumps, and then we're just going to run it off the cigarette lighter input here, which is 10 amps, 12 volts, and the ALLPOWERS is on. And excuse walking cam, I'm just going through the back undergrowth, past the 4-way tap there, over a few boulders, making my way over to the cold frame and the new Wildlanders nursery, which I'll give you a sneak peek at too. And here's my hose, and you can see getting reasonable pressure, meaning that we can water the nursery garden and the nursery plants with ease. So this is one of the 4-way taps I mentioned. You've got 4 individual controls, so 4 hoses click on and off. So with these 2 here are hose pipes, one of which you just saw, and the other one goes all the way here and goes over to our other nursery section, which is pretty cool. Over here, look at all those lovely plants that we've been propagating, especially all these bamboos. We've got a large collection of mints. We've got sunray artichokes, we've got rare Carna Durbans, we've got Carna edulis, flowering Carnas, and then behind me we've got Mrs. Coldframe. A lot of peppers and chilies there to go in. So the ALLPOWERS box is an ideal solution for us on our irrigation, so I'm really pleased with it. And I've put some of the ALLPOWERS specs in text form so you can have a look. Ideal for van life, boat life, or as a lot of people have been saying online, even if you live in a house and you're connected to the grid, get yourself this kind of box. You can save yourself a few quid by charging up when the sun is out and then using the box to power whatever you might need. Your laptop particularly is a very good one because it consumes quite a lot of electricity. So yeah, ALLPOWERS for the win. Irrigation system, really chuffed with it. Just needs labelling now because it's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to use my plant labeler to put labels on all the hose pipes and all the taps and all the IBCs. So we've essentially got 2 systems now. We can water the entire garden from our 12-volt pump powered by the ALLPOWERS box and solar panel, or we can water the garden from the IBCs, of which we have 12. So we've got a double solution. And now with the bladdering, which is super exciting, the bladder will primarily be backup, but also will be plumbing in the bladder so that it powers its own irrigation system via gravity for our 3 new terraces, and we'll be doing that at a later date, probably not even till next year, but at least we have the space to expand as the Wildlands nursery gets bigger month by month. So exciting times ahead on the Wildlands. So this tap is coming immediately off the double tap at the reservoir, and you've got basically berm 4, berm 3, berm 2 and berm 1, so very logical, and then a tap for each. And then I tend to use hose pipe to get the water to the beginning of where the irrigation will start, and then we use the irrigation pipe that you saw me fitting in our new market garden chili and pepper bed. So there we go, another week of our life off-grid, and a super busy week this week. It was great getting Frank back in. He does such a good job and he works so hard, and it's looking fabulous. So we're really pleased to get the bladder in, and we're also really pleased to have 3 new terraces for the new Wildlands nursery. So if you haven't, make sure you subscribe so that you can stay up to date with our weekly lives living off-grid as a family as we aim to get more sustainable. And do leave us a comment. Love to hear about where in the world you might be, whether you're living a off-grid life or if you're aiming to be more sustainable and a little bit greener, and what methods you're using or thinking of using to do that. So waffle aside, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon from the Wildlands off-grid. Ciao.